What is going on, everyone? Nostalgia95 coming at you with another Digimon Digivolution Land video. We're going to be talking about a heavily requested Digimon, and the one comment that actually pushed me to make it is the comment of the Haka 4444, who wrote the following. Remember when you asked what happens if Neo Devimon's mask is broken? Well, we got an answer for that in New Digimon Adventure. Do you have anything to say about Don Devimon / Dan Devimon? First, I want to tell you this. With that name that you have, I can bet that you, just like me, enjoyed playing one of my favorite games, The Prince of Persia: Warrior Within. And I remember that battle against the monster of time named the Haka. And to this day, I'm really hoping that they will remaster the game on the PS4 or on the PS5. I would love to stream that. Second, I'm really happy that you referred back to something I said in one of my previous videos. It really shows how attentive you are, and I really appreciate it. Indeed, in the Explaining Patamon Digivolution Land video, I asked what would happen if Neo Devimon would release its mask, and it looks like the Digimon developers somehow listened to me. Or maybe my question got to them, I don't know. In which case, I'm happy to say that I have way more questions for them in stock, meaning that more videos are ahead, especially when we also consider your very interesting questions, which also deserve their own answers. Now, instead of immediately jumping to the new mega form of Devimon, I wanted to return way back to what presumably should be its rookie form, namely Demi Devimon, a mini devil Digimon with the appearance of a bat. I'm aware that when considering how Demi Devimon was portrayed in, for example, Digimon Season 1, that some would or could maybe see it as this sort of character whose words should not really be taken seriously, and that only weaker people or weaker Digimon would succumb to it. And this is where I will have to tell you the following. One, you are absolutely wrong on this one, and two, the Digimon developers somehow really failed to show you how extremely dangerous Demi Devimon is. The truth is, and I know most of you might end up disagreeing with me, which is perfect as long as you can elaborate your arguments, but Demi Devimon is by far one of the strongest rookies in the Digimon universe, if not the strongest. And I'm not talking in terms of physical strength. On that front, it may be one of the weakest. You can never forget that when it comes to surviving in the Digimon universe, brute power can obviously be very important, but if you don't have it, you'll need to find other means to assure your existence and to fulfill your objectives. That leaves us with the question, what would Demi Devimon's objective be? You see, in European folklore, Demi Devimon would represent what is known as the familiar spirit, supernatural entities that would assist witches and cunning folk in their practice of magic. They would offer their services in the hopes to get protection, and that is exactly what Demi Devimon is doing. In order to assure its existence, it decided as an objective to serve higher class Digimon like Myotismon, also known as King of the Undead, and a Digimon that knows many variations, which should be discussed in its own video, and Devimon, who we will explain in a minute, as this one officially is its champion level, among others, even though I might not agree that Devimon is its champion, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, we'll discuss it. Because Demi Devimon is seldom observed on its own, as it is always with a higher level Digimon, it is going to be very difficult to take it down, as the one courageous enough to try that will have to be prepared to face either a Devimon or a Myotismon, and these two Digimon alone, toying with them is almost as if you have a death wish. No Digimon want to cross paths with them, and that is why I say that Demi Devimon is among the most powerful rookie Digimon, if not the most powerful. Digimon is all about survival, and as our familiar Digimon is aware of that, knowing that it lacks in offensive capabilities, it found other tactics to assure its survival. I don't know if you ever watched the Game of Thrones. If you did not, I would say that Demi Devimon would play an excellent Peter Baelish, also known as Littlefingers, a cunning, Machiavellian, unpredictable, deceitful, and ruthless manipulator who said this very famous quote, "Chaos isn't a pit, chaos is a ladder. Many who try to climb it fall and never get to try again. The fall breaks them, and some are given a chance to climb but refuse. They cling to the realm or the gods or love, illusions. only the ladder is real. The climb is all there is. And as the Digimon universe does not really have order, that means that there is only chaos, so we can already see many similarities between Digimon and the Game of Thrones. And as Demi-Devimon, just like Peter Baelish, is not known for its strength but rather for its cunningness and mischief, the Digimon's personality is the epitome of a dark side Digimon. For the newcomers, the dark side is a reference to the dark area, a place full of evil energies, and all dead Digimon end up in that location where they'll end up being judged by Anubismon to see whether their soul was good enough to reincarnate in an egg. We discussed that Digimon in the Explaining Cerbерmon video, and we also made a theoretical video discussing what would happen to the souls of Digimon if Cerbерmon, or maybe better said Anubismon, were to be killed. All these videos are in the description box. Now, before we talk about Demi-Devimon's champion form, there is one more thing I need to tell you. What I'm about to say is actually one of the reasons why I believe Demi-Devimon is one of the most powerful rookie forms. In an Explaining Mythological episode, we discussed the first wife of the biblical figure Adam. The figure, according to many sources, was not Eve, but Lilith, who, according to some theories, became the snake that tempted Eve and Adam to eat the forbidden fruit. That snake and Demi-Devimon are the same, except that Demi-Devimon went much further than that. I really fear that most do not even realize how crazy Demi-Devimon is and what it did. You see, the snake tempted humans to do something they were prohibited from doing, right? If we take into account the Great Chain of Being, which is a hierarchical structure of all matter and life thought in medieval Christianity to have been decreed by God, the closest being to God are first the angelic beings, which are divided in numerous factions depending on the wings they have. You have the Seraphim, the Ophanim, which I explained in the Explaining Ophanim video. There is the Cherubim and other angels. Only after all of these angelic beings, you have the humans, followed by animals, plants and minerals. The snake, who tempted Eve to eat the forbidden fruit, was only capable of tempting humans. Demi-Devimon, on the other hand, was capable of luring a Shining Angemon species Digimon, an angelic being, to the dark side and make it drop to the dark area to become a fallen angel. This is a feat so crazy and so badass that when I read it in its character profile, I'm sorry that I have to say it like that, but there is no way that the Digimon developers did justice to Demi-Devimon in the series, or at least in Digimon Season 1, who was only dealing with humans that were not even at the age of 10, while in its profile it has clearly been stated that it successfully dropped an angelic being that came from the heavens. My personal opinion, there is no rookie that did something so crazy, aside of maybe Lucimon, to tempt an Angemon, who is known as a being of perfected virtue, a being that brings happiness and fights evil with extreme composure, to lure it to the dark side by a Digimon who is clearly inferior in rank. That is the very definition of someone whose words are more dangerous than swords. Now when it comes to its champion form, that is where it gets a bit complicated. You see, Demi-Devimon by name belongs to the Devimon species, and there are many Devimon species. Logically, its next form would be Devimon, and there are many reasons to not doubt it. Both are wearing balaclavas that only reveal their mouth. They both have skull head symbols somewhere on their bodies. Demi-Devimon has red claws and Devimon has one claw in red. Normally, and again I'm saying normally, Devimon cannot be Demi-Devimon's champion form because Devimon was originally an Angemon. Unless, according to my own theory, once the Angemon fell from grace and found itself in the dark area, it named itself after Demi-Devimon, hence Devimon. And that would also explain why Devimon has a similar looking appearance as a Demi-Devimon. It took its inspiration from the Demi-Devil and even decided to use its real eyes instead of keeping them covered behind a helmet. I've explained why all angel species in Digimon have their eyes covered. Make sure to check it out. There is another point I want to make. All Digimon who fell from grace following a rebellion against God were imprisoned in the dark area along with many other and may have been inscribed with the mark of evil as proof. It is a bat-shaped symbol that appears at least to 15 Digimon, including fake Agumon Expert, which is quite surprising. We'll have to talk about it. Demi-Devimon does not have the mark of evil anywhere on its body, and normally, once the Digimon is branded with that marking, it will stay there even in its future forms and even in its variations to an extent. Devimon has one on its chest and left foot. Go to the Digimon Polar region and you have Ice Devimon with a violent marking on its chest and left foot. Marine Devimon is a big exception, even if it is a subspecies of Devimon. We will have to theorize about it because it does not have the markings. And that is why I would say that Bakemon in many ways would be just as good a champion of Demi-Devimon, as they are both lovers of darkness and quite inoffensive. Anyway, for the sake of this video we are going to consider Devimon as Demi-Devimon's champion. Devimon in many ways is really the opposite of Angemon. Angemon is this obedient being and one who brings hope at the moment you see it. Devimon on the other hand is one that should immediately strike fear. It has a cunning and fiendish personality just like Demi-Devimon, but it also possesses an outstanding intellect. And that is not really a surprise. It was trained and raised in the heavens. Yes, maybe as a low-rank angel, but still an angel with responsibilities. And you will see in future episodes, or even in some previous episodes, that higher-ranking angels also fell from grace, and these fallen angels would end up occupying high-ranking positions in the dark area. It is said that those who stare into the eyes of Devimon are mind-controlled and completely dominated by Devimon's mind. While Devimon did not invent the Black Gears, it can summon them at will and also transform other Digimon into them. Those gears have multiple purposes like splitting or uniting File Island, or they can be used to cause a Digimon to go berserk or further empower evil Digimon. That is why it would certainly love to take advantage of a Digimon like Hagurumon, who has the ability to send a computer virus to its opponents in order to manipulate them at will. Now Hagurumon does not have any sense of self, so it doesn't know it is being misused. There is a quote that is very interesting coming from Devimon's character profile. I quote, "Although it has the same outward appearance and special move as the Devimon that inhabit File Island, it seems its lethal potential and power are remarkably increased." The Devimon of File Island is a reference to the Devimon arc of Digimon Adventure. This Devimon was not one who fell from heaven, but one who was created by Apocalypse, an unidentified Digimon. Devimon in that season excelled in spreading fear and darkness. It showed itself to be patient when it comes to waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and otherwise it uses proxies or manipulate others to achieve its own ends. It is also very smart, as it acknowledged that it was but a small fry in the grand scheme of things, probably referring to Apocalypse, but then again there are other Digimon that are as powerful if not more powerful than Apocalypse, so maybe it was also a reference to these other entities. Now if we take back that quote, I'm sure that it is referring to a Devimon that fell from grace and went straight into the dark area. If it is said that this Devimon's lethal potential and power are remarkably increased than the Devimon of File Island, then my question is the following: what is its true potential? What can it do? To put that in perspective, do you remember what it took to defeat the Devimon of Digimon Adventure? Let me quote a piece of that event. Leomon leads the Digidestined directly to him, where he has absorbed a large amount of Black Gears as well as Ogremon to increase his size and strength. Now standing as tall as a mountain, he shrugs off the champion Digimon's attacks and tears through the ranks effortlessly, flinging them away. With the rest of the Digimon incapacitated, Devimon turns his attention towards TK, whom the prophecy says will defeat him. Attempting to crush him in his hand, Patamon instead interrupts and digivolves into Angemon. Angemon deletes him with a Hand of Fate empowered by the light of the Digivices and Angemon's life. Obviously Devimon's powers increased due to the Black Gears, but it took all partner Digimon to be in their champion forms, it took all Digivices of the Digidestined to empower the attack of Angemon, and it took Angemon's life to defeat Devimon. And we are being told that Devimon, presumably from the dark area, has more potential, so what would it take to take it down? Now, its official next form is Neo Devimon, an artificial fallen angel Digimon. I like this one a lot because you can still see a lot of Devimon in it. The horns, the elongated arms. It is said that Neo Devimon was a Devimon who was enhanced by someone. It was artificially strengthened and completely restrained, even as far as its own will. This leaves me with the following question: who was the one responsible? And did Devimon volunteer? Maybe that is what the Devimon of Season 1 meant with it being but a small fry in another's grand scheme. But one thing I can tell just by looking, the artificial enhancements was probably a very painful process. There are about 7 red orbs on Neo Devimon's left side to his shoulder, and you can see the scars and disruption it caused. And that mask which covers its face is said to suppress Neo Devimon's own power to control its will, meaning that it is normally so powerful that in order to control it, first its strength needs to be decreased. The irony is that just like Devimon, it has an attack called the Touch of Evil, where both arms are elongated to enforce its will on the opponent. The problem is that Neo Devimon does not have a free will anymore, so someone is taking advantage of a Digimon who took advantage of other Digimon. See the irony? Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, I asked in a previous video what would happen if Neo Devimon's mask would break. The Digimon developers answered that question and showed us what would happen. In the new Digimon adventure, we can see how Neo Devimon's mask breaks. This would mean that in the least, it should now have a free will, or maybe better said, it would not be under the influence of someone else. But Don Devimon, with a name that is by the way very interesting as it reminds me of a finished version or a final version of Devimon, it took in negative data to its limit and became a Mega. It is not the same as with Apocalypse, who appeared when negative thoughts were drawn together by darkness. No, in Don Devimon's case, we are talking about negative data in general that was absorbed to its limit. We cannot quantify that limit, but if we consider the fact that Devimon, in Season 1, who was only a champion Digimon, could only be defeated with the help of humans, of empowering Digivices, about 6 champion Digimon with 5 of them that had attacks which were rendered useless, and 1 who died after an attack, Don Devimon's powers should normally without a doubt have grown exponentially in such a way that I hope the Digimon developers will do it justice. But normally it would take a lot to defeat this Devil Digimon who still has the Mark of Evil which it got since Devimon. Its mental state is between normal and abnormal, meaning that it is heavily unbalanced, a bit like Broly in the Dragon Ball franchise. Too much power concentrated into one individual makes an unbalanced being, and just like Broly, if Don Devimon is angered, its intelligence will vanish and will attack in a ferocious manner. Try to imagine how that would look like. Don Devimon is based on the character Venom from Marvel, a symbiote capable of freely extending its biomass into tentacles and tendrils, and usually manifests a fanged mouth and large white eye spots, I would say almost like Don Devimon. And the other character who served as inspiration was Spawn, a hell spawn that can regenerate itself, has superhuman strength, speed and durability, and wears a special suit that can feed off evil energy, also the same as Don Devimon. So, 2 very powerful characters who are quote-unquote fused became Don Devimon, who has their abilities and its own. How powerful do you think Don Devimon should actually be? Try to answer this question in the comment section. Hi guys, this is the end of the video. I really love the Devimon line, especially now with its recent addition. And we are not done talking about them. There is still Ice Devimon, Marine Devimon and more. And there are also multiple Myotismon variants who are also very interesting to discuss. We will take our time and keep on exploring the Digimon universe slowly but certainly. And again, I want to say that I'm very happy because to see that one of my questions got answered in the new series is really something beyond words. I hope the Digimon developers are watching my videos, and if they are, I do want to tell them that I am a huge Digimon fan. I adore the work, its messages, the stories, the fact that it brought us, the Digimon community, together in a platform where we can just chill and give our opinions without fear and shame. I will do my very best anyway to promote the franchise as best as I can, not because I want it, but because I love it. Like, I can't make hundreds of Digimon videos if I do not enjoy it. I'll keep on acting as a quote-unquote ambassador of the franchise and help more people enjoy and understand it. I would like to also take this advantage to tell you that in the Explaining Mythological series we also discussed the devil, who is obviously what inspired the making of Devimon. You can also check that video, I'll put it in the description box. If you are new, please make sure to subscribe to this channel as more Digimon content will obviously come. We'll keep digging, we'll keep making theories, comparisons and studies, and I really hope you'll be with us, as everyone's opinion really counts. And speaking of your opinions, if you have anything to say, drop a comment in the comment section, and if you have Discord, make sure to click on the Discord link in the description box. That way you can chat with the Digimon community. I also want to thank my loyal Patreon supporters. I really appreciate your contribution and presence. And in case you guys are new, know that all my videos are placed in different playlists to make it easier for all of you to catch up on the newest and the oldest videos.